Alright boys and girls, this is Benjamin Boxfly. Welcome back to another F1 23 video. Today we are just taking a look at one race, a race at Monaco. Currently this week the races, or the tracks are Monaco, Coda, and Miami. So a couple of recycled tracks there. I think Miami and Monaco were used before, but I don't think Coda was. So interestingly enough, we are in Silver 2 division still this week, and this race was full of pretty much Gold 1 and Silver 2 division drivers, although I think there were one or two Silver 1 guys in here. But the interesting thing is that I jumped in and we couldn't select our custom setups, so there had to have been a B license or C license driver in here somewhere that kind of caused the entire lobby to turn into a B or C license race. So we kind of screwed up on our qualifying lap. As you saw, I was trying to lower the brake bias and differential before we got going, so we dropped down to like 9th place in qualifying. But towards the end of the lap here, we actually managed to fight our way back up to P3. So made a pretty big mistake going into turn 1, and then having to spend the first 10 or 15 seconds making sure that my brake bias and differential settings were okay. So P3 is not too bad actually, and I think we ended up qualifying about 5 or 6 tenths slower than the guy on pole. So I figured, I mean, yeah, 6 tenths slower. So the Monaco isn't exactly one of my best tracks, and it's kind of weird that all the gold runners qualified behind us. So I wasn't expecting to do that well here, but as we get to the start of the grid here, you could see multiple people jumping the start there. So I was like, nice. Not only do I not have to worry about the guys behind, because a whole bunch of them just DNF, now there's going to be a bunch of traffic out in front of the two leaders here, to where maybe they might cause some issues. So obviously, it being a B license race, there's no contact on this first lap. There's ghosting for the entirety of the first lap, and then there will be contact when the second lap starts. So here I am trying to make up some positions, and I'm a little bit confused now because I'm not sure how many people jumped the start, and I don't know how many people in front of me actually have drive-through penalties and how many are legit runners. So we're currently in P6 right now, and I think I remember seeing like 3 guys jump the start. But then once we got going, the cars were all ghosted out, so I really couldn't tell who was who. And as you can see, people just cutting the chicane there. No surprise once again. So we're still in P6 now, and it looks like Mr. Potato Aim in P5 is a legit leader, and then the guy in front of him has a drive-through penalty. So gonna drive conservatively. Right now the driver behind is a second back, and we're not too worried about him, so I'm focused solely on the people in front right now because I don't want to be caught up in any incidents once contact is enabled. So we crossed the finish line, ghosting has been turned off, there is contact with the cars again. So like I said, there's a bunch of guys with drive-through penalties in front of us. There's no need to push right now. I am just pushing a little bit. As you can see, there's carbon fiber, but I'm not like destroying my battery. Mr. Potato Aim, one of the legit runners in front of us, gets taken out by one of the jumpstart guys, which is unfortunate. I hate to see anything like that when the good fast runners are being taken out by guys that have drive-through penalties that really should have boxed on the first lap but decide to just stay out to ruin other people's races. So yeah, I mean, I kind of understand it. You're in front, you want to extend the gap a little bit, but why cause incidents with people who are on legit laps? So, and again, just cutting corners there. Although Pactor seems to be a legit runner as well. So the guy in P1 and the guy in P2 have drive-through penalties. I don't know if the other people just DNF'd or if they boxed on lap 1. I wasn't really paying attention. Another corner cut right there. So starting lap 3 right now. This is the final lap for the drive-through guys, and luckily for us, Pactor 36 does jump into the pit lane. I think he had front wing damage. So yeah, the two guys in front right now have drive-through penalties, and this is the last lap that they can go before they are disqualified. So I know I don't even have to push. There are 3 seconds and 2.8 seconds ahead. They're coming into the pit lane anyway, either that or they're being disqualified, so we don't really need to push and catch up to them. But now that I look at the guys behind us, we've been kind of caught up behind that entire mess, and then now the drivers behind are only 1 second and 1.5 seconds behind us. So we are going to have to transition to start looking at the drivers behind at this point in the race, as the drivers in front don't really matter anymore. They're about to come in. So 1.3 to Cardinal Bouquet in P4 and G86, or Wi-Fi password, I suppose, in P5, 2 seconds back on the medium. So I didn't even pay attention to the qualifying times behind me, and so I didn't realize how much slower these guys qualified. So I was kind of a little not confused, but unsure at this point what the pace was of the drivers behind. So as you can see, 2 guys in front, it being lap 3 now, they had to come in and serve their drive-through penalties or be disqualified, and they decide to come in. So jump to lap number 9 now. We managed to drop Wi-Fi password to about 6 seconds behind, and Cardinal Bouquet is now 1.2 seconds behind. He decides to come in on lap 9. I think I was scheduled to come in on lap 8. I had changed my my pit strategy to come in on lap 8, but I figured it was a little bit too early. We still had some traffic behind. I didn't want to risk coming out behind Speedy F1 Boss in P4. So I went 1 extra lap, and I figured we'll see where Cardinal Bouquet comes out, and then we will decide to pit. If he comes out behind Speedy F1 Boss, I'm going to stay out for another couple of laps and hope that he gets caught up behind Speedy F1 Boss. So we're just going around right now. Tires are kind of dead at this point. I think lap 9 was what the game scheduled us to come in for, and I changed it to lap 8, but then when the race started, because of the gaps, I decided to stay out till lap number 10. So Cardinal Bouquet comes out in P3, so now we know that we have track position. We can pit and at the very least come out in P3, because I think we should be able to come out in front of Speedy F1 Boss. So we're gonna come in at the end of this lap right now, and this is this is my fault. I'm not blaming anybody else but myself for this. As we come into the pit lane right here, we get a speeding in the pit lane by 3 miles per hour. So the speed limit is 60. We were going 63. We get a 5-second penalty. Just hold on to this thought until the end of the race. So the driver behind Wi-Fi password goes into the pit lane as well, so we know that at the very least we're going to come out P2. For some reason he comes out on the hard tires. I don't know if maybe he just didn't change his pit strategy before the race started or whatever. He wasn't paying attention, and he went from the mediums onto the hards. So now I know for sure that we don't have to worry about him. Speedy F1 Boss and Pactor 36, I believe. Well, Pactor came in for a front wing change really early on in the race, like lap 2, so I know that his tires are pretty much dead at this point. So we are carrying the 5-second penalty right now. Jump to lap 12, the gap is 1.9, and judging by this guy's pace the entire race so far, I thought we're not going to be able to drop him, because he's been sitting at pretty much 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. But as we go along now, I think he started to put pressure on himself to try and stay within the 5-second gap. Either that or he started relaxing, realizing he only needed to stay within a 5-second gap. And I was a little bit too far to really see anything in my mirror, but there were some parts on track where it seemed like he was gaining an ungodly amount of time, which was a little suspicious to me. But because I didn't see it, I'm not going to say anything about it. So lap 15 now, we're at 3.7 seconds, 3.8 seconds. I was really sweating right now, and as you can see, I'm really tense in my chair, because I was like, we got 5 laps left to go. This guy's been sitting at about 1.5, 2 seconds the entire race. We are now just starting to pull away. Lap 15, start of lap 16 now, we are just at about 4 seconds to Cardinal Bouquet in P2, and I was starting to sweat a little bit. And like I said, he's starting to gain a good chunk of time around certain corners. Turn 1 and the chicane, the famous chicane. I don't remember what the hell it's called. But yeah, lap 17 now, we are 4.5 seconds 4.6 seconds, and I thought maybe we have a chance here. There's no pressure from behind. Everybody else is like 26 seconds behind. They're a full pit stop in back of us at this point in the race. So we're just racing P2 right now to see if we can get over the 5-second gap. So lap 18, we were just sitting at about 5 seconds, and then we managed to pull ahead. I think he made a mistake. It was like 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds, and he decided to come in and box to try and get the fastest lap. And I thought I was very kind of vain at this point myself, so I thought if he's going to try and go for the fastest lap, I might as try as well. But you can see we have no battery now to fight with. I think I went for it on lap 19, and we just could not get a faster lap. We're on medium tires, and they are pretty much dead at this point. Although I did set the fastest lap on the medium tires when we came out of the pit lane. So yeah, it was a very fortunate race for us. I don't think we had the pace to win this race if everybody else had not jumped the start. But I'm not sure. Like I said, we did make a big mistake in qualifying because I was playing around with the brake bias and differential. But it looked like the two guys that started in front of us looked like they had pretty decent pace. So who knows what would have happened if the jump starters hadn't ruined those guys' races. It probably would have been a tough race. Well, definitely would have been a tough race, as we wouldn't have been able to pass. I mean, maybe I could have messed around with pit strategy and taken some positions that way, but we probably would have finished P3 on the podium if we didn't have 4 guys jump start the race. So this is the final lap now. We managed to win the race. I was not expecting this after qualifying P3 in quali, and yeah, I'll take the win any way we can get. But yeah, how is this more beneficial to my race than corner cutting and track extensions? We are 3 kph over the speed limit when we come into the pit lane, and we get a 5-second penalty. Again, that's my own fault. But look at all these corner cuts and all these track extensions. Are you telling me that rolling into the pit lane 3 kph faster than the pit lane limit is more beneficial to my race than these guys cutting corners and track extending? And these aren't just 1 or 2 warnings. Some of these guys have, like, I don't know, probably 10, 12 warnings and not a single time penalty to their name. I really don't get it. A 3 kph difference entering the pit lane, according to Codemasters, is more beneficial to a race than corner cutting and track extending a dozen times. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. Anyway, that's it for me. I've been spending a bunch of these videos just bitching and complaining about it, and I figured we'll just kind of keep that to a minimum for this video. But if you think I've earned it, feel free to leave your like, comment, or subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Remember to eat a bok choy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.